Welcome to this episode of Stumbling Through Growth, honest conversations about life's journey. I started this podcast to share conversations about real things with people who inspire me the most. And one thing I want people to get out of this conversation or these conversations is that we all have messy life and growth journeys. I know I'm learning all the time. And so I'm so grateful to my guests for being open about sharing their stories, their experiences with me and with all of you. So my guest today is Ayanna Freedom. Ayanna is a two-time author. Her debut book, Becoming Free, is a memoir that talks about her journey from addiction to recovery. In her second book, Unfuck You're Stuck, The 12 Agreements to Full Body Freedom, she helps others identify, we swear here, by the way, yes. She helps others identify stress cues, locate where they are in the body, and release them fully using a 12-principle technique she founded. Additionally, she's the host of the podcast, Unfuck You're Stuck, done with her daughter, Blessing. She's also the founder of Be Free Wellness, Inc., a nonprofit organization that centers the health of the global majority and marginalized communities access mental health, wellness, movement, and holistic services. Ayanna is also the creator of the Embodied Liberation Therapy, which is designed to help all bodies unlearn the toxicity created by systems and tend to the internal body that systems have harmed. I need all of Ayanna's therapies. I know, right? Don't we all?
Have them. You may have them.
Oh, thank you. She has all the credentials to back this up, too. She's a licensed independent clinical social worker and a 500-hour registered yoga teacher. And as you can tell from all of this, Ayanna is dedicated to providing accessible, inclusive mental health, mental wealth, and healing services for all bodies affected by dominant culture and oppression. And when she's not out making the world a better place, you can find Ayanna dancing, writing, and momming as a mother stepmom. She is a person in joyful recovery, yogi, and a lover of breath. And I also would like to just add to this unofficial part of the bio that she is one of the most wonderful energies that I ever get to be around.
Oh, thank you.
I just love your energy. It's so awesome. We met through singing, and I'm just so glad that we did.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much for being here and for saying
Thank
yes
you
when
for
I asked
asking
you.
me and for being my new friend.
I know. I just love your whole everything, your aura, all the things that you do, and just the energy that you have around life, frankly, and all of the things. Yeah. So I'd like to start with the question that I'm asking all or most all of my guests is who is Ayanna? Like, not what you do, because we talked a little bit about that obviously in the bio, but who are you? Like who unless you are adamant that who you are is what you do, but yeah.
Such a good question. And it's fascinating because I listened to your other podcast, so I knew that you were going to ask me this, but it's so different than it would have been like years ago, which is just what's so cool. So now I'd say someone that is deeply embodied in bringing the earth to life. I don't know, that just came to me, so I'm just
I
going to
love
go
that.
with it.
No, I love that. I think that's great. Yeah. I mean, there's so much that needs to change, right?
Yes.
And I think like, you and people like you it's always so inspiring to me because you do, like, you put your money where your mouth is kind of thing, or like you put your body where the work is, like you do the work,
Yeah. Yes.
A lot of people talk about all the things that are wrong, but they don't put themselves in the path of it in a way
Yeah,
that you do.
I kind of live in a way where it's like everything is inside out and then outside in. And then it just gets recycled like that. So for my clients or anyone that I'm working with, and this doesn't have to be for every therapist or every embodiment healer, but there's nothing that I'm working with people that I haven't sort of been through myself. And then have embodied and figured out a way with my body to shift or change that for myself in some way. And I always ask them, would it be helpful for me to tell you the path in which I walked? Yeah. And it always is, right? Just they're like, yeah, even if I'm not going to do it that way, it's just to hear how someone else did that, leading with sort of, I always say the heart instead of the head. The head is like this place that our thoughts just get trapped and 90% of them aren't true anyway.
Right.
So so when I talk about the earth and embodying all that, it's sort of like my purpose is and who I am now is to bring what's really in the earth, which is what is true, which is the soil and the growth of where authenticity lives, to this present moment that we're in, which is super hard in this present moment of the culture in which we are
Yeah,
living, which is pretty toxic.
it is. I mean, there's so many things. There's so many things wrong right now.
So many
Like,
things wrong.
there's so many things wrong. So, like, outside of everybody's own individual stuck, right? There's all the shit that's going on around us in the world, in the country, and it's just, it's so hard for, I think the way that I try to think about it is that joy is such an important piece,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
Like, yes, I understand that, like, definitely some cultures have grown up with like joy as resistance, and I think that's great.
Yeah.
But that wasn't my, my upbringing, which is fine.
Right.
Like, it wasn't, I grew up in Ireland. I was, a white privileged kid growing up in a white country, basically, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
As a gay kid, that was a whole other story, right?
Yeah. It's part of it.
Yeah, that's part of it, right? But I think that there's like, there's just so much going on right now for everybody. And I think that sometimes people feel like prioritizing their own health, mental, physical, well-being, spiritual, whatever, is not where they should be spending their time and energy,
Right. Yeah.
But I think that obviously that's not right.
It's all hard, right?
Yeah.
Like, I try to tell people that what we're living through right now is not just our own, right? It almost, what's weird about this time is that even though the dominant culture is asking for us to, really lean into being independent and strong and powerful, and that power is all being, it's also calling for the rest of us to lean in together and to really lean into the collective. So
Right.
the difference, I think, when people ask me like, what's the difference between like somatic healing, embodiment healing, and all this kind of stuff? For me, it's about, I don't move about the world without other people's energy, without the connection of them, without them in mind, without the collective. So I think what's happening right now is that people are experiencing their own trauma, which is just regular, not normal, but like your
Right.
average, family stuff when they come to talk to me about
Yeah.
whatever. But then it's like, oh, but on top of that, now you have the collective grief that is happening, right? So the collective grief of Black and brown bodies just being disposed constantly,
Yep.
queer bodies just being disregarded as human, all of it. All of that,
Yep.
immigrant families, there's more, I can stop naming them now, but, all of that lives in the body somewhere.
Yep.
And the only way to heal that really is to lean more into the collective and the community.
Yeah, and I think we've gotten away from the community. Like you said, we all, we're all connected, and we all sort of have those, I think, some way shared experiences. I
Yeah.
think that's true, but I think that for some people they don't recognize that. Like they don't,
Oh, a
you
thousand
know,
percent.
right? Yeah.
Yes.
I think like one of the things that really struck me during the pandemic was how there was, I'm going to call it a selfishness that happened in some
Yeah.
places, and
Sure.
this country was certainly one of them. Not everybody, but I think the people that were complaining about, lockdown and complaining about this, that, and the other thing, and livelihoods aside, I'm not talking about obviously people losing their jobs in certain industries or whatever. Like that's all obviously terrible. But I think that there was a segment of the population that was like complaining about like I can't get my hair cut, or I can't go out and get my Dunkin' Donuts coffee, whatever, like those
Right, right,
kinds of
right.
things.
Yeah.
It's like, where's your humanity? Like why aren't you thinking about the greater good, like the greater us, as
Yeah.
opposed to
Yeah.
just thinking about me? And I
Right.
think that's something
Yes.
that I really noticed during that time, and I think that
Yeah.
that has continued since then.
Oh, it's continued in a way that's, the current administration and sort of the ways of being are, and it's always been like this. This is just a magnification of
Yes, that's
sort of
true.
what's been like underlying in America for a really long time. It's just magnifying like to the ends of the earth where you can't even like not look at it anymore. But if you sort of, and I'll just use America or United States or whatever, is, individuals ism is the way that people are taught to live, that
Yeah.
you know, the whole idea of the bootstraps, the whole idea of like you know, grind and culture and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff is like the way to survive, and you survive by climbing up a ladder and
Yeah.
kicking people below you down.
Right?
And that power over is the way to be. Like somehow that's success, right? And it's just that's
Yeah.
not how humans were, you know, embodied to live and to love.
Right.
Even white bodies, like I do you know, DEI work all the time, and I do
Mm-hmm.
trainings all the time, and you know, they're like, yeah, but white people don't get that. If I'm, you know, if I'm working with a group of folks of
Yeah.
color, and I'm like, yeah, because it was taught, and if there's not something that interrupts it, like drastically interrupts
Yeah.
that, then that's what they'll see, you know. And you see this with police academies, you see this with lots of institutions
Yeah.
that have power, that, you know, are white dominant, that, you know, they
Mm-hmm.
can't, they have to, unless they're, that's drastically interrupted. And so what, you know, embodiment folks and other folks are doing is, when you talk about like joy is the resistance, right? That's the resistance against that.
Yeah.
Rest is the resistance, right? That's
Mm-hmm.
the other way of like, we can all communally rest, which, you know, makes our bodies and our energy ready for, if in fact you do need to fight, or just to be a healthy human in the world, and
Right.
not to exhaust yourself of, you know, sickness and illness that the grind culture just cultivates, right?
Yeah. 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 Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely been on this sort of, not intentionally necessarily, but in this very different headspace around sort of, hustle and worth and like where your value as an individual comes from and all that kind of thing. It's been fantastic, but like it's very different, especially here, because like you are definitely, and that's the reason I asked that first question that I ask, is like because we are so defined by who we are is what we do,
Mm-hmm.
that I think it's just really important. The first episode I did, I didn't do an intro to the person, and then
Oh, gotcha.
somebody watched the podcast and they're like, "Oh, you should have done an intro." Madison Butler was my first guest, and they were like, "I didn't know who Maddie was," and I'm like, "Oh, okay." And that's why I started doing like a little bio intro. But in some ways, it's kind of contradictory to the first question. But I think
Right.
people do want to know who they're hearing from, right? I think
Oh,
that's
for
kind of
sure.
why, Anyway, so even though it seems contradictory, it's for introductory purposes, but
Yeah.
this is not a podcast about, work life necessarily, although obviously work is part of most people's lives.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think right now it's a really important question to ask everybody, because the culture and the toxicity is really asking you to show up as who you are, because we can't mess around with who we're not.
Right.
Like we just don't have time to
Mm-hmm.
be who we're not anymore.
Yeah.
That's like, we got to show up 1,000% with who we are and move forward so strongly with that, because otherwise we're gonna get taken down. And ain't
Yeah.
nobody got time for that.
Nobody got time for that. And I also think like in this time, it's worth mentioning, at least for me as a white person, that, there's a lot of kind of angst in the white community about like, oh my god, like this time that we're in, and people feeling like, our rights are being taken away, and we're
Yeah.
living in the Handmaid's Tale, and da 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 da. And it's like, yes, and people that don't look like me and other white bodies haven't had, this is how it's been. Right? It's amplified and it's more out in the open in some ways, but it's how a lot of, global majority black and brown people's lives have always been,
Right,
is
right.
oppressed and not having the rights and not having the permission, so to speak, to
Mm-hmm.
be, just
Mm-hmm.
to be authentic, to live as you are and who you are, and be free. Like that,
Right.
sort of people talking about like Freedom 250. It's like, oh, we've been free for 250 years. Have we though? We really, no.
Oh, that
Some,
day is like the 4th of July. I'm like, oh my God. All my friends call me. They're like, it's your day of mourning. I'm like, yep, yes it is, because I just can't. I'm just like, free for who? Free
right.
for who?
Yeah. I know.
What?
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
Until we're all free, nobody's free. So why are we doing these big celebrations?
Right. Exactly. It's,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
signing of a piece of paper or whatever. But like, Yeah, but I want to just sort of put that out there, just again, as this white person, like acknowledging, not patting myself on the back for acknowledging it, but just I want people to understand that sometimes the reason that, people are reacting the way they are, or, sort of sitting back and watching white people react the way they are is because you've been going through it the whole time,
Right,
right?
right.
In many ways.
Yeah, and it's so important for white people to say the things, right? Like it's so, we exhaust ourselves, people of color, from saying the
Mm-hmm.
things over and over and over again,
Right.
on top of the racial trauma that we experience every day.
Correct.
So it's like, if in fact, like you are a beautiful example of just amplifying voices in which, like, might not get heard otherwise,
Right.
but also speaking as a white person, like, taking some responsibility and account. The one thing I
Mm-hmm.
love what white people do, they're like, yeah, but like I wasn't in slavery and I wasn't that,
Yeah.
you know what I
I
mean? Like
didn't
I
do
didn't,
it. It's like,
I didn't do
okay,
it, so
yeah.
why are you mad at me? Like reparations, what are you talking about?
I remember seeing this black woman that was on, it was during the pandemic, and she made a video. She's like, reparations, you all should be happy we're not looking for revenge. And I'm like,
Right.
you
Right.
know,
Like just right.
right. Yeah,
So there's that.
exactly. Yeah. I just think it's important to name those things because I think they don't get named enough. And to
Yeah.
your point, like, and this is not exactly what you said, but in some ways, like, black and brown people are saying the things and people aren't listening and paying attention. So like, I
Absolutely.
think,
Yeah.
it's important
Yeah.
to say those things as a white person, be like, not trying to be a spokesperson, but like, be a
Right.
voice, hopefully,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
For sure.
And it's so interesting you said, that I'm sort of platforming people who maybe wouldn't otherwise have a voice. That is so not intentional. I have a list of people who I really want to talk to and who inspire me,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
list happens to be mostly black and brown people, queer people. I wanted to ask you about this. It's one of the questions I've sort of asking, a lot of my guests is around their childhood and what might have shaped them. And I think I was
Mhm.
on your website and I looked at your about page and it starts with
Mhm.
this thing that just fascinated me. I'm like, I need to ask about this. So this is what it says. My journey started on a train where my mother didn't show up for many years. That is where I first learned about love and trauma and how it lands in the body at a very early age. Can you tell me what that's about and how it shaped your life then and now?
Oh my gosh, that's like we call it the enough moment. That's like when people always ask me, like, what was the moment, like an addiction that you knew, right? That was it. So I would tell you the whole story. So my mom was an addict for a really long time. And so she was in and out of my life, sometimes healthy, sometimes not. And I lived in Newton with my dad at the time, and then she was sort of on the streets bouncing around, and she would always call once in a while and say, "Hey, I'm going to meet you in Newton Center, and I'll meet you at the train station." And I was like, "Okay." And I must have been like 8, 9, something like that. And then I would just walk by myself, like you just did. And she wouldn't show.
Mm.
And I would just keep going back. I mean, that happened months, years, right? And then she'd always call drunk and explaining why and just, but I remember like as a little kid standing on, that train station freezing,
Mm.
just thinking like hours, right? I just think about a little kid just like, nope, this the next one. I'm just gonna wait for one more
Yep.
train. Like she's definitely coming this one, right? Like no.
Yeah.
And then didn't tell anyone because I was just so ashamed that after that I just waited and so that's how I learned that like if my mom can't show up for me, like at that point I was too young to connect, like addiction really did get in the way, right? To me at that point it was like my mom doesn't love me.
Sure.
And we were so close. Like she was so all the things that I talk about around like racial, justice and social justice, that was her.
Mm.
My dad too, in a different way, like but yeah, she had a big afro and she's walking around.
Yeah.
She was the freedom fighter of all
Mm.
freedom, not afraid of anything except for addiction got her pretty
Yeah.
good. And so that's sort of where my addiction came in, years after, sort of in college. I had dug that down deep, kind of lived my life, and then all of a sudden found alcohol. And I remember being like, oh, that can quell this feeling inside that I've had pain for so long and don't know what it is. And then years after, really digging up like, oh, that was that feeling. And what's cool about the whole train thing is if you're open to it and really looking at self-growth, I mean, stuff's pretty hard.
Yeah.
I was in rehab for alcohol addiction. I'm pretty open about that.
Yeah.
Like I'm always like, people just go, just do it. Right? You get fed, you get driven around. It's hard work, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Because it's almost the only place you can heal because, you can't be a mom and heal at the same time. You can't be taking care of all these other people and heal yourself at the same time. You really got to remove yourself from the environment in which is harming you. So during that time, the second time that I went, I was like, there's a deep wound here that I can't get out of my body. And I worked with a therapist that was really trained in like IFS and all these other things. And we had did the visualization of me as a little kid showing up to the train station, and then my adult self, and then my future self, and then my mom as a healthy person, like sort of all come together and sort of wrap that kid up, right? And just be with that kid on the train station and feed it love. And from then on, I think it's like I can talk about this now without crying. Like I couldn't speak
Yeah.
those words before without like being a puddle on the ground. Like the trauma was so deep
Yeah.
that I had to I would have to like, but now I'm talking about it like, oh, it's so beautiful, right? Like the feeling it has in my body is joyful
Right.
because, but it's not, I get a little teary when I talk about it in the beginning, but
But you did
not
the
like
work. Like
before.
that's,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's where the whole thing came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And so I wonder, does that then cause you, or if there's any conscious thought around showing up because she didn't show up? Like that you're very like, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. If I say I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be there, like no matter what.
What's funny is the only way that really trips me up is like time. So
Oh,
I
well,
get
yeah.
I'm very conscious of like not being late.
Okay.
It's like that's how it shows up. So
Yeah.
it immediately goes to like, oh God, if I'm late, someone's gonna think I'm not showing up, and that's gonna like break their heart.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
a little irrational. So I'm like either so early or like really on time.
Yeah. But that was why I sort of asked that question. It's like, there's going to be ways that those things show up. Like, even
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
don't connect, like, obviously you connect the dots, but like, we don't always all connect the dots, right? Like, and I think
yeah,
that's like, shit shows up, right? Like the
yeah.
old, like why you do the work, right? Because
Right.
old shit is in there and it needs to come up and
Sure.
out, you know? Yeah.
Yeah. And it shows up in relationships too. Like I have to really be aware of just even friendships sometimes. Like if someone cancels, not so much now, but like if someone would cancel an appointment, sometimes I'd get triggered. Not an
Yeah.
appointment, but like if we're going out, like
Sure.
somehow my brain would be like, oh, they don't love me or want to be with me, which
Yeah.
is irrational, right? But it's really just, but
Yep.
like I'd have to check myself for a while because that would be the immediate response. My
Right.
body would go into like, oh
Right.
my God, this person doesn't love me.
Because that's what you were taught, or
Right.
that's what you
Experienced.
believed, right?
Yeah.
That was your
Yeah.
reality. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm good at that now, and I can understand it. But sometimes it shows up in like if I'm not taking care of myself, if I'm not resting enough, if I'm not eating well, if I'm not. Sometimes I'm extroverted, but I also need I need rest and
Yeah.
alone time. But sometimes I get so excited about being with people that I push it. And then I am like my equilibrium is way off. And then, so if I get triggered during that time, it takes me longer to recoup to figure out like what's going on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're not taking care of your physical
Yeah.
body, like from a rest and all that perspective,
Yeah.
like some of the old stuff will like creep up, or it just takes longer to recover from.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. I think, and something you touched on earlier sort of made me think about this too. I think we get stuck in cycles sometimes of like, I can't get sober, or I had a shitty childhood, so I'm never going to
Oh my
be
God.
have a better life, or the other myriad hundreds, however many hundreds of stories we tell ourselves, because in the absence of actual information, we just make shit up in our heads, right? And our heads, and we
So
just do it.
true.
We don't do it on purpose. It's just the way our brains work. And so
Yes.
those stories are 100% real to us, right? If I
Mm-hmm.
have a story that's rooted in whatever, it's my story and it's very real. And so one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, like have this conversation with you, was to, let people know that you're not stuck in your past,
Oh
or
my
or
God.
even stuck in your present. Like you can,
Right.
as you say, unfuck your stuck.
1,000%. You can unfuck your stuck at any time, at any cost, anywhere, no matter how old. Yeah, it's a limiting belief to believe that we can't get out of the things that we're in.
Right.
That we can but it does require work. Like, it's not always like that.
Yeah.
Some of it's fun, like in the book there's exercises and activities that are fun to participate in, like talking to strangers and getting an idea of what that's like, and just um but yeah, I feel like there is also this, like, especially around like addiction stuff, even mental health stuff actually, where there is a like limiting belief, or not trusting in that people actually have more power to shift and change their internal landscape than we give them credit for. All the time that shows up. And I don't know if it's like, it seems like a dominant dynamic in which we're not empowering people to actually, you can live the life that you want, not in this like crazy woo woo manifesting way where like you forget that there's not trauma, right? Like we're not,
Right.
I saw this best meme the other day. It's like, we're not going to mindfulness. It's systematic oppression.
Serious.
Out
I've
of
seen that, right? It's so true.
yes,
Yeah.
right.
Right.
So that's not a thing, but we can enable people to understand that they're not the problem, that the system is the problem, and that let's work together to figure out a way to re-empower yourself, to navigate that your mental health is not your fault, it's not your like, and no matter what happened in the past, it has been compounded with this narrative that you are bad or weak or wrong for your skin color, your sexual orientation, you're not hustling enough, you're not momming enough, whatever it is, parenting enough, whatever it
Right.
is. It's just, we can. And some of that language and that brain stuff is caused by the world wanting us to keep us sick and keeping us not well, because God forbid we actually fight against the system.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that there's a I think we're taught that there's a right way to be,
Mm-hmm.
and to think and to live and to hustle and to, I think in this country, the sort of work hustle culture is very strong.
So strong.
So strong. Like not so much, I mean, Ireland, certainly, I think we have like, anyway, there's not like that real, like everything is should be about what you do, right? It's just not like that.
Right.
Excuse me. But I think that there's a way that people think or perceive as the right way to be, and it's
Mm-hmm.
very much rooted in in sort of colonized culture and white
Totally.
supremacy culture and all of those things, right? And so we're supposed to look a
Yes.
certain way, sound a certain way, think a certain way, work a certain way, live a certain way, and it's just not. It's not practical. Like in very simplistic terms, like it doesn't work for
Not
most
realistic.
people. It's not
Right.
realistic at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so like there's a lot of unlearning that needs to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I'm assuming that that's sort of this like unfuck your stuck is like
Yeah.
you are not your past, you're not even your now. Like you are who you are, and there's a way to kind of come back to who you were always meant to be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. And one of the most beautiful things I ever learned from Tracy Stanley, she's one of the leaders of my yoga and nidra training, was like, it's not necessarily just about who you are and like bringing that forward. It's really defining who you are not, and like creating that list, right? And then I know people talk about boundaries and it's sort of this woo woo thing or whatever, but it's like, when I'm making decisions now, I sit back and ask, like, does this serve who I am? And does this represent any piece of me around who I'm not? And if it shows up with who I'm not,
not doing it.
No, and that's 1,000 whole body no.
Yeah.
That's not like a maybe. That's a nope.
Yeah.
That's not how I'm showing up in this world, like, ever again.
Okay.
Right? Like, that's not, and it's never again, right? And that can
Yeah.
be for, like, people ask me for podcast stuff all the time, and I do a little research, and I'm like, if you can't talk about decolonization and white people without getting freaked out, I'm not your girl.
Right?
It's just not
Which
gonna happen.
yeah. Which makes me even more honored, like, frankly, that you're here talking to me, because it's like,
I
yes.
turn people down all the time.
Oh, I love that. I
Because it's
appreciate
like,
that.
and well, conversations are energy that you put out into the universe.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and it's a energy with the two people, but it's also, if there's synchronicity, then beautiful things can come of it.
Right. Which is
Yeah.
which is like what this is for me. This is what this is for. I started this because I was watching somebody who I admire greatly, talking on like on a podcast about something, and that, like, they were talking about their work and they're in the arts. And there were a couple of things that came up that they said that was like, oh my God, like, I want to know more about that. And it wasn't about their work. It was about the person and their journey and their growth and things like that. And so, like, I'm just so inspired to bring in, to talk to people that are not growth gurus, right? That are not like, I want to have these conversations with people who are like just real humans having a human experience, right? And bringing, different perspectives and everything. And I think it's just so important to have those people platformed and have people hear from everyday people that are just doing, doing the work.
Right.
And like you, helping other people do the work, right? Because I think that, one of the things that really strikes me about, the little bit that I know about what you do, and I don't pretend to be an expert in any way, shape, or form, is just that recognizing how things are in your body.
Yeah.
Because I think for me, I know in a lot of ways I'm very detached from what's going on in my body.
Yes.
And I'm aware of that, but I don't know how to fix it. Or fix is probably the wrong word, but you know what I mean? How to get in touch with that more.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll be in touch.
Yeah, I mean, you and the rest of the world is
Right.
not, but I would actually say white bodies have that disconnection more than other bodies.
Isn't that
Which
interesting?
puts them at a huge disadvantage.
Wow. I wonder why. Do you know why?
They were trained that way.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
being
Don't,
connected with your body is power.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because if you think about, like, when everyone talks about, like, somatic healing, it's turned into this whole weird thing that I don't understand. But I try to tell people, like, somatic healing's been around for years. Like, it's been tribal, it's been the rhythms, it's been ancestors around us, it's going around the fire, it's dancing, it's tapping, it's shaking. Like, it's all the it's breath, it's all the it's being with the body in all these shapes and forms. It's been for years. It's not like it's a new
Right.
concept.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think also, like, colonialization and all that has taught that you can't exist with your body within that. You just can't. If you're going to have power over somebody, and think that is the value of your life, right? Think about Trump in that way. You
Right.
can't do that. You can't be connected to your heart. You can't feel other people's, right?
You
It's
can't,
about energy. You have to separate it so that you can continue to do that.
you couldn't live with
It's
yourself.
no, it's a pathway to, you can't. There's separations on purpose.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
No, I know.
Damn.
Learn
Yeah.
something new every day.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely. I always want to learn. I'm always willing to be wrong. I always, you have to be, I think. Like, you have to be open to being, like, wrong. I had an experience a couple of years ago at the theater, which I keep talking about, but that's okay.
Oh yes, it was
Where, yeah,
such a
right.
pivotal
So
moment for
it was
you.
a huge pivotal moment for me. And, part of the reason this whole thing, this podcast even exists is, like, I just literally was, like, pulled out of this numb state. That I didn't really realize. I kind of knew I was in, but I didn't really realize how deep I was in. And this whole experience just, like, blew me out of that and just has completely changed so many things in my life. And, like, literally, you talk about, like, being in tune with your body. Like, I ended up seeing the show 3 times. It closed very early. It was a Broadway show. It closed way too soon. But the first time I saw it, I had this complete experience. And I don't remember if what I'm about to describe to you happened the first time I saw it, but the second two times I saw it, my entire body was literally vibrating from the inside out. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I've never experienced anything like that before. And it was incredible. But it was like, I just felt like I was so in tune with everything. Like I was just vibrating at this frequency of the universe, almost like talk about woo woo, right? But it just felt like that. It was
1,000%. Yeah.
really, and like, it was incredible.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
the embodiment work right there.
Yeah.
It's helping you to recognize that. It's befriending the body, right? It's like devotion versus discipline. It's all those, yeah, that's my new favorite term.
Oh, I
got
love
I got
that.
it all over my mirror.
Devotion over
Right,
discipline.
like devotion, like
Ooh.
surrender, or be with the earth. Like there's no more discipline. Because what discipline is this, and devotion is like this. It's simple. But it's so beautiful, right? It's like, and then the body. If we can just listen to the body in that way, right? And you did, like, so you answered the calling. And so the embodiment work is to bring people back to where didn't you answer the calling? The calling's been there forever. The body speaks to you from the day it was born.
Yeah.
Like, where can I help you navigate those moments in which we need to remember who we are, in which the body's telling us to remember? And that was for you, that moment was so beautiful. I mean, it was loud. You kind of couldn't, but
Yeah.
you still could have been like, oh, gross. That's so weird. I'm just, you know what I mean? You could have just yucked it away
Right, right. Yeah.
instead of making it this beautiful integration of your life.
Yeah. And I think that sort of full body know that you were talking about earlier too is
Yeah.
something that, like, I will say from my personal perspective, like I've been, working, getting my own business off the ground and not being, financially secure in ways that I'm used to.
I hear it. I hear you.
Right. And in some ways that's okay, right? Because there's been a sort of a gift in some of that for me. Just quickly a tangent. I used to be somebody who was very much like I needed to know where my next check was coming from. I needed that security and stability, and that is no longer the case, which is fantastic, right? That has been an absolute gift. And at the same time, that full body no is hard for me to completely honor if something comes up, like say from an opportunity perspective and something comes up and like, I don't know if you're into human design at all, if you're familiar with.
Yeah.
Okay. So like I'm a generator, so I am absolutely supposed to honor that sacral kind of gut feeling about things.
Yeah.
And there's just still a part of me that's like, but I need income. You know what I mean? Like it's hard for me to be completely, to completely honor that when it comes. I think in some ways that the universe or whatever is making that decision for me in some ways, which is good, right? But it's difficult to honor that for me in this moment. And I wonder if there is a part of you, or I'm just curious now as I'm saying all this, like, is there a privilege in being able to do that? Like in being able to honor that no? Or is it something that we all should be able to do? There's a whole, this is going down a whole rabbit hole of like what society should be like and how the world works, and should we be living, we shouldn't have to pay for the land that we're on. Like, I'm sorry, my brain just went down all that whole rabbit hole.
All of it, like
right?
The land.
Yeah.
I know.
But in this society that we live in, which is our current reality, and God, I hope somewhere at the end of all this shitstorm that we're in, there's a new way to be, like that enough people will collectively be like, this don't work no more. What are we going to do? Right. I think we talked about that before, but in the current reality that we're in, it is difficult for me personally to completely honor that no when it comes, because it might come with a paycheck attached that I need, right? If that's
might come with like $3,000.
Right, exactly. I don't know if I can say no to that,
Yeah, right? And yet, I just did.
Oh, awesome. I love you. Okay. You're my hero.
Well, so it's wild, right? And then
Yeah.
some days I'm kicking myself like, why did I do that? No. Um, the reason is, and this is just around like embodiment, right? So once you really get into the embodiment stuff, you got to trust the body in that there are reasons for the no. No matter what that paycheck has attached to it. And you got to trust that. And so over time, I've learned to trust that, right? And then if you don't, you can see the fallout of what happens.
Yeah.
And when you think about money, right, you think about it as an abundance, as an energy, right? So there's things that I do. People always laugh at me. There's things that I do that I get paid a shit ton for. Mm-hmm. And then there's things that I do that pay me $25. Like this morning, I teach at the Y, right?
Yeah.
Like $25. But let me tell you, it is the most abundant experience. They let me do what I want. The community is just gorgeous. They all show up. The classes are all full. They're so sweet. They're so, like,
Yeah.
I don't have to market. Like, it just, for me, that feels like I walk out of there like $1 million.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
right? Every time.
Because it's giving you something.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
And so that is like, so if people ask me sometimes for speaking gigs for whatever, however much they want, again, it's like saying yes or no to the podcast. It's, and a lot of it is around the people that pay the ton of money are the corporate folks that want me to, I don't know, talk about women. I was going to say women empowerment and roll my eyes. I don't mean it like that. I mean, like, it's like women empowerment. It's not that that's bad, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, I can talk to women about how their rights are getting taken away and how to, like, and dominant, like, do you know what I mean? But I'm not going to go into your corporate and like,
Wave the pom-poms and like, yeah.
Oh,
That's
not what
not
I
you.
do.
Right.
But they love like my energy and all that, and they're like, "We'll pay you." I'm like, "Yeah, I gotta say no." Like because the cost of that to me,
Yeah.
is months of the being in the energy of that room just for an hour,
Yep.
giving myself to something where people don't see me as who I am. Mm-hmm. It feels like slave labor, even though I know I'm getting a lot of money.
Yep.
Right? There's a lot of just the cost to my personal being is way worse than. And what's funny about that is that when I turn down the no, then there's like 2 or 3 other experiences that I've then been offered that somehow equal that amount.
Right.
And are just so much more joyful for me.
Yeah.
And they're relationships that I build and last a long time.
Yeah.
Those things.
Yeah.
So that's sort of how, and I want to say in that I have privilege in that I have a lot of letters behind my name. I can make money, right? It's not, I have had I'm in debt, but like I am educated in which, this country values education. They value that I have letters behind my name, that I can bill insurance because I'm a therapist and I have those letters behind my name. And you know what I mean? So I can do those things. I can ask for private pay because I have a lot of experience now. Yeah. So, I have those in ways that, some folks don't.
Yeah.
And that's all, again, derived from on purpose that there, aren't a ton of yoga teachers or wellness folks out there that are people of color. And there's not a lot of folks of color that are therapists. And, it's all by design. It's all by design. Like, God forbid we all heal each other or something.
Yeah,
so that's
really.
how I look at it. So I encourage you to use the full body no because you don't know what's waiting on the other end.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, that's a really good point. Mm-hmm. It's hard to be, and I'm going to shut up about me after this.
Go ahead.
But it's hard, it's hard to, I slip into a scarcity mindset sometimes and I don't love that place. I don't stay there long though, but I think but there's certainly like definitely parts of me where I'm like, what am I going to do? And then there's other parts of me like, it will like what was supposed to happen will happen. And that's,
Yeah. And that's where I would say my nidra practice has become so vital because I have to engage in that practice every day. And I get scarcity mindset all the time. I mean, think about my mother being homeless, and there was a while where like I was living with her in homeless shelters. Like there's the scarcity mindset. I'm always like, am I gonna have food? Like, am I gonna, is my kid? Can I provide for my kid? Like getting divorced triggered all of the scarcity mindset. How am I gonna do this by myself?
Right.
All of that, right? And then not only that, but then it goes to the train station of like, and you're not worthy.
Yeah.
Right? You're not worthy of abundance. Like then my brain goes there.
Yeah.
And then I
Yeah.
get into this spiral, right, of like, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then I lean back into the Nidra practice, in which the practice just holds you, right? So it's just that practice of coming back to the body, of allowing the body to be home and allowing the body to know what's true, right? So if I know what's true, I know that I'm enough and I'm worthy of all of the abundance and beauty in the world, and being with the soil and the earth, and just tapping back into what brings me joy, like being at the Y, you singing with you, like
Yeah.
all those things. Like, what are those things? Like, right? Like, I don't
Yeah.
get paid to do rock voices, but like, oh my God, I leave there too being like,
Right.
so great.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's such a good point. Like there just isn't a paycheck attached to everything that's, that brings you
Right,
joy. And,
right.
for some people there's the paychecks are attached to things that absolutely don't bring you joy, which reminds me of this quote from Caroline Wanga. If you can't be who you are, where you are, change where you are, not who you are.
Oh, 1,000%.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. I've actually walked into rooms where I was supposed to do something, either energy speaking or groups or yoga,
Yeah.
and the energy is so strong, like in like pain in my tummy or something
Yeah.
else. I turn around and walk out
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
all the time. I'm like, nope, I don't know what is happening here, but it's not, my body's not gonna. When you start to, that's the other thing piece about embodiment, around like when you start to think about who you are and your body
Yeah.
is sacred,
Yeah.
then you
Yeah.
don't engage in things that aren't meant for you anymore.
Right. Do you think that feeling or that sort of knowing, obviously, I know you've done a lot of work, but do
Yeah, yeah.
you think that that comes with age and wisdom as well? Or do you think if you had had a different life and you had like maybe, or done this work earlier on, do you think you'd be that confident in that knowing and that fully being embodied in your body to just walk away from things like that?
No, but previously I would, this is where the addiction piece comes in.
Yeah.
If I had that, and I was an empath, didn't know what an empath was for years. So
Ugh,
my
yeah.
body took on everyone's stuff and I thought it was my own.
Yeah.
And some of it was, and someone would get triggered by it, but some of it was like some other, especially when I do like Reiki or other healing stuff, some of it, I have to do all these holistic things but I still take it on.
Yeah.
But I know now what's mine and what's not.
Right.
But back then, I would internalize that like I was bad or wrong because I was feeling bad. Because I would walk into a room and have that feeling and be like, oh, geez, something must be wrong with me. I must not be prepared enough. I must not be good enough. I must not. All that trigger stuff with not understanding, having done the work before, that
Okay.
something's bad or wrong with me. But
Yeah.
now I'm like, oh, I mean, and given sometimes, who knows? I've done enough work to know, like, is this me? Is this not? Where is
Yeah.
this? How much danger is there? And
Right.
sometimes I can pick up on racism in white bodies. Very, 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 like,
Okay.
sometimes it's so pronounced in their fear that that's what my body's reacting
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of the time, I can work and navigate through that because I do trainings. I did a ton of trainings around Juneteenth for a bunch of different
Yeah.
big organizations, right, with all these staff in a room.
Yeah.
And I felt that a little bit, not to the point where I had to turn and walk out. It
Right.
was a point where I was like, I'm gonna be right back.
Yeah.
I just had to find out. I was like, I need a room just to like be with myself for a minute
Yeah.
and just check in, like, how much is this? Like, what are you picking up on? And it was
Right.
certainly people's fear. It was just fear. And I was like, all
Yep.
right, I can work with the fear.
Yep.
But sometimes the fear is like, if I stayed in that room, I'm going to get a comment to me that I don't want on my body, because that's going to hurt too much for me to recover from quickly.
Yeah.
So those
Yeah.
rooms, when I get up and walk out,
Right.
those are those rooms. But
You know
most
it.
of the time I can navigate it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting. You mentioned earlier about not, there aren't a lot of black or brown therapists. Is there still a lack of access to informed mental health services for black and brown communities?
Oh my Lord. This is like the longest.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just like, no, I mean, for me, like my soapbox of like decolonization and mental health.
Right, right. And is
Yeah,
there still
like,
a stigma? Because I know that there certainly was a stigma around it
yeah,
in some
there's always
communities.
stigmas for, in communities of,
Yeah.
and part of that is really just what survival means.
Yeah.
and us, people of color really needing to be able to survive, and being able to do that on our own,
Mm-hmm.
and the fear around what happens when you don't. So if you somehow reach out for help, then you're not able to do that. That's where that comes from.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, for me and just for the community, that I don't want to speak for all people of
Right,
color,
right,
but
right. But in your
that's sort of like
experience
the
and what you've heard,
general.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or that you're not strong, or that, you know what I mean. Same thing
Right,
for
yeah.
men. Yeah, that you
Yeah.
don't. Right, right, right. All those things. And the mental health where it makes it so hard around insurance. Like,
Mm-hmm.
even if you have insurance and it's like, they only approve 10, and then you have to find somebody,
Yeah.
and then there's no people of color in the world. Or let me just tell you, there's no white therapists on this planet that are taught well enough. Well, let me speak Massachusetts because that's what I know the most.
Yeah.
I would say I'm in the United States, whatever, around decolonization and how
Yeah.
to really heal Black and brown bodies in a way that's
Yeah.
not demoralizing.
Right.
90% of the time, it's like this victim blaming bullshit that I just am over.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm
absolutely.
just so over it. I'm like,
Right.
stop telling them that their mental health stuff is their fault. It's really
Yeah.
not. And yes, there are, there's depression and all these pieces, but most of it, you gotta weed through before anything else, before you get into people's history, I mean, you can get into their history, but like, you gotta talk about the lineage in which they came from
Yep.
and the harm in which was caused
Yep.
before you can sort of attach a label of any type of diagnoses, because,
Right. I know. And
yeah.
understand generational trauma is
And
real. Like
generational, yeah, all
it's
of
like
it. Racial
in the
trauma,
like talk about
generational
being
trauma.
in the body, right? Yeah.
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 And if there's so many white therapists that just don't even know how to have that conversation with the client.
Right.
And I'm like, the first thing coming out of your mouth should be like, how do you experience being a person of color in the world?
Yeah.
That should be
Right.
it. That
Yeah.
should be like no other.
But Ayanna, they don't see color, don't you know?
right. Then there's that, right? I know. If I had a dime for every.
Right, seriously. Oh, sorry,
God.
I had to.
Oh, it was good.
So people, if you're watching, I don't see color is not a good thing. That is not the goal.
I'm not saying that here.
No, we're not saying that here. And I will say, like, let me just be clear from, because some people don't understand why. Because it's dismissing the entire experience or much of the experience of the person of color who you may be referring to, because they move through the world as a person of color, and that comes with a lot of different experiences that as white people we just cannot possibly comprehend or see or understand.
Well, it ignores the system.
Ignores the system. Exactly. Yes.
Yeah.
The system. What lessons do you think you're still learning or you have yet to learn? How much time do we have? No, just kidding. I'm kidding.
Yeah, that's a great one. I didn't even think about that one. I'm still learning a lot about relationships. I'll say that because I'll be 10 years sober in December.
Yep.
And so if you think about it, prior to that I wasn't myself.
Yeah.
And so, then I had to unlearn all that stuff that my mom and, all those things. And so I feel now fully in my body as me, but I still feel almost like an adolescent around some relationships. Like when I was thinking about like if someone cancels or whatever, like a friend does that. I'm still learning that not to have that be my first thought. Like I don't want to have to keep weeding through my trauma stuff. I mean, and over time that will, shift and change.
Yeah.
But I'm still learning how to do that and forgive myself for having those thoughts and going into the deep tunnel of yeah. And even though I talk about abundance and all that kind of stuff and like I've got it made, right? There's choice around money, and so I don't make a lot of money because I don't choose the things that don't work for me. And some of the things that make a lot of money are attached to things that are corporate and systems that I don't believe in.
Right.
So balancing that with like really wanting to take care of my kid or take my kid on a vacation, then I'm like, shit, I just should have taken that 3,000 whatever, and then I could have, So I'm still balancing out how to like, learning the lessons. Or I love the way that I think about it now. Like I have a sense of how to do it.
Yeah.
It's more just letting the guilt go around around it is still
Yeah.
lessons happening over here.
Yeah, yeah. But I think that's like that's so honest though, because like we're like I said at the very beginning, like I'm still learning, like we're all still learning,
Right,
you
right, right.
know, and I think that there's lessons to be learned, like not to say, you know, there's no arrival,
Right,
right?
there's right heal. I keep telling them, they're like, when don't I need a therapist? I'm like, healing is forever, but you're not going to need me forever. But like,
Right. You learn
your
the
healing is
tools,
forever.
right? You can
Yeah,
learn the
yeah.
tools to be more self-sufficient in
Mm-hmm.
healing. I maybe
Right.
is that a fair way to say it? But like
Sure, sure.
but there's always going to be stuff that triggers you. There's always going to be shit
Right,
going on.
right.
Like and I don't say that to be like, "Oh, that's, you know, doom and gloom." There's no point. Like there's absolutely point, because you can have this joyful existence where you get to like have a joyful life and keep learning about yourself and other people and growing and you know, evolving, and I think it's, I don't know, I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think the other thing I'm learning, which, years ago a therapist said this to me, is that what you produce doesn't, sort of what you asked, isn't what you're worth.
Yeah.
Which, sometimes I just like, I wrote a book, like everyone's like, yeah, you wrote a book, you did all this. And because I can do these things and I can do things very quickly, you see, I have a lot of energy and I can navigate a lot at once.
Yeah.
Doesn't, and I feel like, oh, because I can do this, I'm going to do it. And because I'm going to look this way to the world, somehow then I'm worthy, which is a lesson I'm still unlearning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, like I
Yeah.
don't have to be out there all the time. I don't have to keep writing these books. Not that I mean, the books that I've written are beautiful, and
Yeah.
they were for a purpose, and I love them. But like that level of, and it's almost like when I learned through my Nidra practice was like, some of it's performance. Some of it's, look what I'm doing. Like, do you like what I'm, more like, hey,
Right.
mom, I'm on the train station. Look
Yeah.
what I'm doing now. Do you
Right.
love me now?
Yeah.
Right? It's
Right.
that. So it's like, and I'm trying to balance that out. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'm great at it. And sometimes I'm like, ooh, I exhausted myself last week by performing.
Yeah.
And it's catching it. It's just catching it.
Yeah. There's always something new to learn
Hmm.
and grow into and grow from.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Um, there's a question I've been asking people. It's kind of heavy. What quietly or not so quietly breaks you?
Oh, wow. Mm. Like the other day when I try not to watch the news.
Mm,
Um, but if you think about like families and ICE getting torn apart,
yeah.
and the child in her pajamas watching the dad, like
Yeah. Right.
that is,
Mm. Who
that
are we?
stuff just, yeah, that breaks me wide open.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, or it's, when I do therapy with people of color and they are just recounting the relentless ways in which they have been unseen and
Mm.
harmed around racism, I am
Yeah.
crumbling inside. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, it
Yeah.
wrecks my soul.
Right.
I am honored to witness it, and so I'm so glad that I can be present to it to help to heal it.
Yeah.
But as they're speaking, like my heart can really, it can really break.
Yeah. I mean, there's just so much cruelty,
Hmm.
and it's like it's so unnecessary.
Right? That's the part that's hard. It's unnecessary.
Yeah.
There's no, I mean, I don't know if any harm is necessary, but
No, it's not.
but
And
this
no, it's
this
not.
in
But I think,
particular time is
but
very
it is.
harmful.
It's just so, and I think the fact that so many people think it's okay and are like, oh, but this is what needs to happen. It's like, God, what happened to you? Like, what is your story that you, not you, but like the people that are
No, I
feeling that,
know.
like, what is, how is
Yeah.
this okay? Anyway, that's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's just so, there's just so many things that are just so awful that are happening with people that I
Yeah.
think um, we have to, I don't want to grow numb to it,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
try not to watch the news as well. I'm with you on that. But I also try to stay informed, kind
Right, that's the
of,
thing. It's like a
you
client will
know?
bring something in a session. I'm like, shit. I don't know
Yeah.
what it was.
Right. I know. I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
It's such a fine line in some ways, and obviously in some ways is a privilege, and not being able to and being able to tune it out in some ways, right?
Sure,
Obviously
sure.
that's a huge privilege, but but also
Absolutely.
like, yeah, like I wish, God, I wish there wasn't so much cruelty.
Okay.
We've talked a little bit about, we've talked a lot about joy, but what brings you joy? Like, what's the, like, if you need, like, I need to pick me up, like, I need to, what's your go-to, like, joy bubble?
Yeah, I mean, singing and dancing and deep belly laughs with my friends, I'd have to say.
Yeah.
There's, my friend Christy is just a great friend, and there have been times where like I'm almost peeing my pants because we're laughing so hard. It's because we know each other so well. It's something that she said or a look that she gave me, and I
Yeah.
know exactly what. And like I'm just losing it.
Yeah.
So deep belly laughs are just like if we can be with friends that can bring that, and then dancing and singing. I just think there's not much more joy than that.
I know. Yeah. Singing is so, like, and you talked about this at one of the concerts, like, that just, there's like
Mm.
physiological benefits to like
Oh,
singing in a
totally.
group. It's like, it's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think in that I talked about how bodies knew what rhythm was before fear. Think about
Yes.
being in the
Oh,
womb.
right.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's so true.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
yeah. That's why dancing and rhythm and all
Yeah.
those tribal things from communities really bring you back right to your body.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I love that.
Yeah.
Um, Last question then. Is there anything that
Yep.
I didn't ask you about that you wanted me to, or anything that you would like to leave us with?
So would I just pause? That's funny. I would love for people to be in the knowing that the beauty lies in the silence.
Mm, don't be afraid of it.
Don't be afraid of the silence with yourself, with other people. Like sometimes, like when I'm teaching Nidra, just having silence and the body's connecting, you can change the world
Mm,
just by those moments because of the truth that's coming through when we're silent. More silence.
amazing. Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm not good at silence.
Me neither. That's why I have to like get really set it up.
Yeah, I know. That was good. That was a good pause. It was like, that was good.
Like, how do I do what I want? And then I was like, oh, then it
There it
comes in.
is.
It's like silence.
Yeah.
There it is.
Right. Well, that's
Oh
it,
man.
right? You got to let it, you got to have the silence to get, sometimes the thoughts need to come in, and you got to
Mm-hmm.
let them. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for doing this and for
Thank
this
you for having me.
conversation.
What
It
a
was
what a
amazing.
pleasure. What a joy.
Yes, thank you. I'll put, obviously in the show notes, like where people can, get in touch and check out your other things, your other podcasts and so forth. Um, yeah, thanks for leaving us with all of this fabulous wisdom and knowledge. And I just appreciate you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Back at you.
Thank you.